determine the appropriate legal framework. But it's equally natural for the providers of global internet services to want to offer them in a way that's equally accessible wherever you are in the world, and to be concerned about the prospect of having to engineer many local variants of the same service. So I think we do have some questions around jurisdiction that are very open, and some genuine concerns on the industry side, not because we don't want to comply with national law, but simply because the costs of compliance could prevent people from turning services on in the global way to which we've become accustomed. So to conclude, I have more hopes than fears, and I suspect, indeed hope, that this is a common view here. We've already benefited from the open internet being a massively significant tool in advancing people's social, cultural, economic, political and civil rights. And we're just starting now, I think, to see how this has even more potential as the internet provides connectivity for everyone, everywhere. But it's also timely to address the fears now in a balanced way, rather than only at times of stress and crisis. I'm confident that these 2 days in London will make a significant contribution to advancing that debate. And I'm grateful to the Foreign Secretary and the organisers for creating this opportunity and for allowing me to contribute to it. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed. We have one more speaker and then we're going to take some questions to this panel. And our final speaker in this session is Eric van der Clay. He is the Chief Executive Officer of Tech City Investment Organisation, and he's going to talk about United Kingdom enterprise and innovation and the UK Tech City project. Over to you, Eric.
Good afternoon. I'm really excited about the opportunity to speak to so many eminent policymakers, because before I came here today, I asked the constituents, if you like, that I represent, which are the entrepreneurs of Tech City, what they'd like me to say to you. It was a good question to ask. And they came with a message of two things. Number one is, please talk to us. And the other message is, please don't mess up. Okay, so that's their message. And actually, taking that one step further, I'm going to make the offer quickly because I want to make sure we get it out there, is as policymakers in your own countries, please engage with your entrepreneurs and innovators far more than you ever have on any other topic. Because this particular topic, the internet, cyberspace, is capable of producing that really important thing that we're all looking for, which is low capital intensive growth. It's the same thing that venture capitalists like. It's the ability to create growth with reasonably small amounts of capital. So it's very important you do engage with your innovators, because think about something else. When you enter office, you're being asked to set policy for innovations that you can't even think about yet, but by the time you leave office will be quite different to that which you're having to set policy for. So please speak to your innovators, because the really exciting thing about entrepreneurs and innovators is they don't know what they can't do, so they just try. And you end up with things like Facebook and Twitter and other incredible innovations which can really fuel growth. Now, very quickly, I'm going to talk about Tech City and just share with you some of the experience and success that we have right now in Tech City. Tech City was announced, the initiative of Tech City was announced by Prime Minister David Cameron back in the 4th of November last year. And what he did was really create the vision of a whole new area of London, which is designed to innovate, to foster and to create the most attractive environment for innovators and entrepreneurs, as well as some of the world's major corporations. And at that time, we had 12 very significant companies in the sector who very kindly made a terrific commitment to come and base themselves within Tech City. And we're delighted to say that those companies are coming through on their commitment. But actually, the really exciting thing, the thing that I really want to share with you about why the sector is so important, is that when the Prime Minister made his announcement, there were about 200 tech and digital businesses in one part of Tech City. And today, almost 12 months later, the size of that cluster has more than doubled. And this is without considerable financial intervention from us as a government. Okay, we have, yes, we've done some policy changes to make it particularly attractive to entrepreneurs. We've worked on things such as the entrepreneur's visa to make it possible for entrepreneurs with great ideas to come here to the UK. But actually, it's organic growth, fueled by the extraordinarily powerful and supportive environment that cyberspace has presented to us. So that's why these innovators told me to send a message to you of please talk to us and please don't mess up, because they are capable of conceiving the innovations which will fuel the next generation of growth that we really hope will help us to come some way to dig us out of some of the challenges that we have at the moment. So just quickly the commercial about where Tech City is. It starts roughly next to the financial district in the heart of London, and it stretches up to Stratford and the Olympic Park, which is where we're investing £9 billion in some of the most significant infrastructure that we think will support the next generation of some of these companies. The invitation is there to you as policymakers to come and join us in Tech City, as well as entrepreneurs to come and join us in Tech City. I would recommend one thing: talk to your own entrepreneurs, but also come and talk to ours. They're very keen to share with you some of the things that they're up to. And we believe that one other aspect is going to be very important for the tech clusters to ensure that we continue to enjoy the growth. And that is that we connect to the success that we have within Tech City to all the other growth and innovation sectors around the world. Now, in terms of policy, I would say that the most important message that we have comes to our office via the entrepreneurs themselves. So I'm going to share with you just quickly some of the messages they've told us. For example, in matters such as the privacy issues, which I believe are going to be discussed over the next few days, we have direct submissions from them explaining exactly how the implementation of privacy and cookies could either significantly help or significantly inhibit growth. So they are immensely capable of helping you understand how to best deploy these kind of strategies. In terms of things like net neutrality, we would love to share with you some of our thinking, because what I can tell you on the net neutrality discussions that I've had with companies in Tech City is that they are conceiving of the kinds of services that actually we don't have regulations for, we don't have policy for, and actually they're not sure that we should have. So my offer to you as policymakers is, please come to Tech City. I will convene for you groups of entrepreneurs and innovators to help you with your thinking as you develop your policies. And we would love to send some of ours to come and share with yours as well. Because I think that being connected as communities that are also focused on growth, and by sharing our information between our communities, we will not inhibit, but we will certainly encourage some of the really important growth that we believe both ourselves and your countries need. Thank you very much.
We've had 7 very interesting speakers there. In fact, they illustrate the vastness of the subject we have embarked on here, covering entrepreneurship, social media, political activism, development, freedom of expression, a real great variety of views. I'm very grateful to all of them for being with us this morning, and I hope they're going to now take part in answering a few questions. And we will take some questions from the floor in a moment, but just while this lectern is being removed, I think we'll start with some questions that have come to us from Twitter and from Facebook, appropriately enough. We've got one here coming in from Oxfam on Twitter. How do you think digital developments can benefit people in poverty? Actually, we've had a little bit of that. Helen, you've already addressed that. Do you want to add anything to that? I think we'll move swiftly on to the next question.
I mean, just at the headline level, there's so many applications for economic growth, including in the poorest socioeconomic parts of the community, whether it's through access to finance, banking services, the ability to get information to the small farmer and micro-entrepreneur. The possibilities are endless.
Okay, well, thank you. Let's move on to I think we covered that subject well in your remarks. We have a question from Facebook from Liz Nupp on Facebook. How can the internet be put to good use, giving citizens more of a say on policy decisions, increasing participatory democracy? Anybody want on the panel to address this question?
I'll take a stab at it.
Yes, Sachin.
But I think many governments, including many departments in many governments, especially in India, as we make policy, as we put up bills to be put into Parliament, they're being put up on websites, people are giving comments real time, and I think it also breaks the barriers of religion and region and ethos and ethnicity and castes and wealth and poverty. So people are able to access the information, and information clearly is power. If people can have a say in the inputs of the policy making while it's in process, I think it's much more meaningful. And it's already happening in free and open democracies all around the world. But I think it's a positive agenda that should be pushed forward by almost all governments. We're seeing increasing interest in India. The young people are either Facebooking or Twitting or emailing or texting, giving inputs on how to tweak policy once it's out there on the table. So it's already happening at least in my neck of the woods.
Jimmy, what do you think? You've created a kind of democracy online with you are the monarch at the head of it, as you described. Any recommendations for governments on this?
Well, there are a few. One of the things that we see is that people, there are a lot of good people who want to participate, and a lot of times when governments try to do various things online, they are plagued with really difficult social questions around, at Wikipedia, we're a private organization. If we think you're being annoying, we just ban you. For governments, that's a little tricky. And so you do want to think about, you don't need to necessarily host all the platforms. They can exist out there and you can participate in them. But if it's difficult for you to exclude the people who are just being annoying, it may be very, very hard. And I've seen many governmental message boards and things just didn't work out because they didn't have the ability to do that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. The other thing is, on this general question, one of the things, Wikipedia is in over 200 languages. And one of the things that I think is incredibly important is people's access to broad information and the ability to educate themselves about their politicians, for example. If people are getting information about who are all the members of parliament, that's incredibly valuable. And there are things that governments can do to help ensure that happens in a proper way. I mean, little things like make sure that all of your photos on your official website are under a Creative Commons license so that people can share them and upload them to Wikipedia. So there are a lot of things that governments can do to empower the growth of Wikipedia in your language.
Thanks. Helen, you want to come in on this?
2 brief points. Obviously, there's tremendous potential for getting more participation and debate about policy, etc. But I think the effectiveness depends on broad reach, because otherwise you're only listening to a subset of views in the community. The second thing is, if you invite such participation, those who participate do expect to be heard, taken into account and responded to. So you invite cynicism if you open up the channels, but then don't give an adequate response or feedback.
Yes. There are several things we're doing in the UK. Of course, there are many informal things we can do to encourage participation. I regularly, as Foreign Secretary, have question and answer sessions on Twitter, answering questions from people all over the world. More formally, we now publish online every item of government expenditure down to £25,000 in every department, and in local and municipal authorities down to much lower levels of expenditure, because that information really is a key part of accountability. And we also have now a procedure where if more than 100,000 people sign an e-petition, it goes forward for consideration for a debate in Parliament, which can be immensely inconvenient, but is a new form of participatory democracy. Let me just bring in our Yemeni activist, Atia.
Well, I think for some of the developing countries, combining radio with internet, using internet radio first to raise awareness to areas beyond the capital, beyond the cities, is a great way, because you cannot participate in policy making without having the knowledge, as we said. Mm-hmm. So first is raising awareness through radio, through internet radio could be a great tool.
Okay. Thank you. We'll just take one more question online and then we'll take some contributions from people who are here. We have one from China here.